Hi, ladies, and welcome to another episode of the First Generation Millionaires podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Barr, and I am so excited to be here today telling you all about my recent holiday. You may notice got a little bit of a tan going on. Probably not, actually. I'm looking at it. I'm still a mum of 6 kids, so actually the level of sunbathing was like minimal. But I did manage to catch it a little bit, which was really nice. And I always think when you have these moments of like resting, recharging, realignment, um, it's always really important to anchor in how you're feeling in that moment without all those distractions, without all that busyness, without so many places to be and things to do. Like powerful shifts will happen in that moment if you allow it to be that. And for me, that's what the holiday was. And actually, something really incredible happened on the holiday, which was definitely just like the end of a cycle, and it was a really beautiful way to finish that and like full stop, anchor it in. And I want to share it with you today because so often these moments can just pass us by and we're like, oh, interesting, but we don't really experience or ground in like the gravitas of that moment. So as I said, I went to Mallorca. It was so beautiful. The weather was a little bit hit and miss on a few of the days, which was a bit disappointing. And that in itself has given me some really powerful feedback that a week is not enough when it comes to the kids. And equally, what are we doing in Spain? Because, the weather's so unpredictable and it just, the travel and everything else. Like we went to California last year and it was actually much more seamless. So I think just again, things that I'd already suspected. It was a family holiday with my brother and my sister and their families. And it was just like, guys, we need to kind of level up next year because this was a bit of a interesting one. But that's not even what I'm talking about because actually also being with the kids, having that time, having that presence, like I said, and I'm a present mum and I'm actually not working all hours and I'm not commuting and I'm so grateful for that. But even within your daily life, like there's, I've got a newborn, I've got housework, I've got other priorities, other businesses. There's always something like routines to stick to that just kind of take away some of that presence when it comes to the kids. So it was so nice to have that with them fully, to be all in. And obviously, this is the year because they're all now approaching teenagers where they were like, no, I'm okay. Why are you still here? So it was quite funny. But yeah, it was lovely. However, something really incredible happened, so much so that I don't usually post on socials when I'm away. I really do give myself the time and space to just be with the kids, not find pressure to be on. I'm a terrible content creator for that reason. I'll maybe take the content, but I don't post it because I don't want to have to respond and all the things. But I had to do a live while I was here. So basically, what happened was me and my brother booked this holiday earlier in the year. I think he might even have booked it. We'd been to Mallorca a couple of years ago with my sister, and that hotel came up, and I was like, no, I don't think so. But we were just kind of like totally open, didn't care where we went, didn't care. Um, what was there as such, as long as it was good for the kids. It was an all-inclusive, nice and easy. We could have ended up anywhere, not only in Mallorca but anywhere literally in Europe. And then we went to this hotel, and it, nothing kind of stuck out to me. But when that, have you ever had that thing when it happens to you where you start to kind of like suddenly feel like things falling into place? So basically, I was walking around the hotel and the pool, and I suddenly started to feel this like, I think I've been here before. Like it was really bizarre. And I was like, this is strange because I have a terrible memory, right? And I always joke like no one would ever know. If I ever lost my mind, no one would know because I have ADHD anyway, but also I am very much go, go, go energy. I'm not a person that looks back as such, although I say that and I am a big reflector, but only on the moments that really matter. I don't know. A lot of things, like I'm that kind of person because I'm juggling so many plates, so many tabs open. You can ask me what I did yesterday, and I'm like, what? I don't even remember what day it was yesterday. I know what I need to do today, and I know what's coming up, but I don't know what I did yesterday. It's like once it's done, the energy dissipates for me. But I started to get this feeling like I've been here before. This is really bizarre. I almost feel like I remember taking a picture over there on the sunbeds. I remember, but then my brain was going like, when would I have been here? And then I was like, oh my God, is it a past life? No, it wasn't a past life. What actually came through to me was I had been at that exact hotel in Mallorca 11 years before, like almost to the date, which is crazy for me because at the end of this month, I am due to like end a karmic cycle. And I was like, this is crazy how this has come together. So I'm ending this karmic cycle at the end of this year. And this was part of that basically. So when I was there 11 years before, it was the corporate version of me. This was just before I quit my job and everything happened with my mum where I had to leave. I was a single mum. And what had basically, so I had three kids at that time, and what had basically happened was I didn't have anyone to go on holiday with me and the kids. And I asked my best friend at the time if she would come. Obviously, I paid for her to kind of compensate her for supporting me, for being in my space, for the inconvenience of traveling with me and my kids when she didn't have any and didn't need to. And what I had forgotten was what a pattern that was for me, continually compensating this person for being my friend. You know, I paid for her to go to New York, to Mexico, to Thailand. I bought a house that we lived in and she didn't have to pay anything. Like in, you know, no deposit, none of the furniture, none of the moving costs, none of the solicitor costs. And at the time it was like, I just want to make it like as easy as possible. She's doing me a favor, she doesn't need to live with me. And that was my whole apologetic attitude to everything. I met her when I was young at a place in life where I didn't really have any family as such, and felt very lost and lonely and very unlovable, very unlikable. And I met someone that I really pedestaled because she seemingly was a good person. And she is a good person. That's the thing. Nothing about this is shade towards her. She is a good bloody person. She's an amazing person. But unconsciously or consciously, she was profiting from my friend. Now, would you get angry at her? First, your friend comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to take my kids away. Would you mind coming with me? I'll pay for you. Like, it will be amazing." You're not going to say no to that, are you? And that was always how I positioned it. So it wasn't like she was ruthlessly like saying, "I'm only coming if you're going to pay for me." But if someone's like continually offering, of course, like you'd be mad to say no. I've never been offered a free holiday, by the way. If anybody wants to give me that, that would be amazing. But that's my problem. I'm the person that kept offering it, so it's not her problem, it's mine. So I recognize that 100%. But basically, that's just what kept happening, is that I pedestaled her, thought she was amazing. Anybody who's come from a background of trauma, there is an element of shame around that makes you feel like you did something wrong. You're dirty. You're unlovable. There's something bad with you fundamentally, and that's why bad things keep happening to you. And I actually had the word damage tattooed on me because at the time I'd love to say it was an empowering message. It wasn't. It was and it wasn't. But I felt damaged for most of my life. Like there was something wrong with me. I was broken. And if people then want to be my friend and are seemingly good people that want to be my friend, then I need to be so grateful, because why would they? And that was my attitude towards her from when we were like 15. Basically, I just saw her as the moral compass, the embodiment of all that is good and right in this world. And I had to compensate her for being my friend because I just didn't feel like I was worthy of it. So that's how I went through life with most people. It's interesting with men though, because I can't say that, you know, I've attracted some emotionally unavailable men, but I can't say that, you know, I ended up with, I've just chased every man that ever looked my way. I actually haven't. I actually find men a massive, or had found men a massive inconvenience, and almost a distraction. And yeah, so it's interesting how with friends I allowed them to overstep, but with men, not so much. If anything, I'm the Spice Girl generation where it was like, I don't need a man. No, they're annoying. Because again, that was my childhood experience of men, is that men are there to use you, abuse you, take advantage of you. I've never seen what a good man looked like. Not, and I still believe that they were out there. I just believe that, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I believe. That's a whole nother thing that we need to unpack. And I actually have a dating lady that's going to come in and talk about all of this, the relationship between men, sex, and money. So I'm excited to share that with you. But anywho, what happened was I realized, even with all of that grace towards her actions, basically what had happened is that she'd met somebody before we came on holiday. She probably said yes with good intentions and fully planned to be like that great surrogate aunt. But what happened was she met somebody before we went. they were in almost like a forbidden relationship. So take what you want from that, which again, did I judge her? I'd like to think that I didn't. As a ride or die friend, I'd never judge anybody. Um, and I don't believe in shaming other women. But did I think that she could do better? Absolutely. Did I want a more simpler situation for her? Of course, because I thought she was an angel on earth. And I was like, oh, you could be in her. There'd be so many men that would want to be with you, that you could have this beautiful, clean slate and start your future together without a cloud and all the things. And I just couldn't understand why she was intentionally complicating her life. But so maybe she felt that a little bit, as much as I'd love to say, oh, I never showed it. I'm a friend. Of course, I'm going to like be that air of caution, but equally that can create separation, that can create, if people feel like they're being judged, they're obviously going to go the other way, they're not going to tell you everything. So but anywho, because of this relationship, it meant that whenever he called, she had to drop everything. Basically, whenever he was available, she had to make time and space to go and speak to him, because she didn't know when the next opportunity was going to be. And again, as a friend, I kind of understood that, and I made so many compensations for that throughout the trip. But there was one time where, so one time where we basically went for dinner with the kids, and I had 3 kids under 4. So this was a handful. I was going through my own stuff. I was feeling very lost, like 30s, feeling like, but I did everything right. But I've had a shit life, but I deserve more. How have I still ended up in a place where I'm like a struggling single mum, working all the time in corporate? I've got no man to support me. I don't know what next looks like. What's the chance of me meeting somebody else? Like, I was absolutely spiraling. Needed a friend on that holiday, didn't have a friend. I had an emotionally unavailable and physically unavailable passenger that just kind of like lurked around in the background. And that's basically what happened. We went for dinner. Which again was like overwhelming for me. 3 kids, sorry, under 4. My youngest was only like less than a year, so trying to get out the high chair, the girls are arguing, like it was all chaos. And during that time, she took the phone call on the way to the restaurant. Throughout, like getting there, ordering the foods, entertaining the kids, eating the food, paying the bill, and walking back to the hotel, she was still on the phone to this guy. And I felt so alone. I felt so rejected, so abandoned, and just sad with everything. And, again, that's too much pressure to put on another person. I shouldn't have felt that way because she rejected me. I was still like a superwoman mum doing the thing, but I just couldn't see it at that time. That was my lens. So therefore I went for, and I just felt so sad about the whole thing. And it was just kind of confirming all these low vibe thoughts that I had about myself and what my ability to cope with and handle these situations as they came to me. But essentially what happened, every morning the baby would wake up, and obviously again, she doesn't have kids, so not to inconvenience her, I would take him out for a little walk around the coastal line, which I had no business doing in a foreign country by myself. Early hours of the morning. I'm so lucky that nothing ever happened. Um, but essentially took him for his morning walk, so it didn't wake up the girls, didn't annoy her. And I just kind of had a bit of a breakthrough, actually. And it was the first time where I had because I was such a people pleaser. I felt so much guilt or shame if I ever wanted to put myself first, or if I ever felt judgment towards somebody who I deemed to be a good person. There would just be so much shame around it. It'd be like, God, what is wrong with me? Why am I such a horrible person? Why am I feeling this way? Like, she's nothing but nice. Like, and basically, I had a bit of a fuck this shit moment and had a breakthrough and thought, actually, do you know what? No, I deserve better, and so does my kids. I've paid for you to be on this trip. You understood the assignment. I am going through something. I'm your ride or die. I will support you through whatever you do. Why can't you support me through this? But then equally, I thought, no, I've put too many eggs in one basket. It is not fair for me to pedestal somebody else. It is not fair for me to put what I believe I would do for that person and expect that in return. Um, She's not going to save me. She's not here to make me happy or whole or feel loved or feel worthy. She's not here to put me back together. I am here to do that. And I was like literally thinking, what can I do? Because at the moment I've got a choice. I can return from this holiday, go back to work, feel sorry about the holiday, and miss out on those moments with my kids while I'm here and they're here, and we've paid to be here, and put all of my happiness on her shoulders and her level of involvement. or I can go back to corporate, go back from my holiday and think, right, I'm not fucking having this. I'm not going to be a cliche. I'm not going to be that starving, struggling single mom who doesn't have a life, never meets anybody else, never like peaks when she was with her man, and doesn't ever do anything fun or exciting with her kids. Like her life is just on hold. And I remember having a conversation with somebody once at work, and her husband had left her when her baby was like a year, and she didn't meet anyone else till he was like 15. And I was like, fuck that shit. Like, these are my good boob years. Why do I want to waste that? Like, I've only just like started to feel sexy and earn good money, and got my own house. I am a catch. And all of that clarity just came in so quickly on that holiday and in that moment that I thought, what is the most anti cliche struggling single mum thing that I could do? And the first thing I thought was book a trip to America with my kids, because no one else would do it. No one else would put their babies on a long haul flight, or nobody else that I knew at that time. Nobody else would spend that money on a memory that's obviously going to be forgotten. Nobody would take them to, I wanted to go to New York, hadn't been in years, loved it when I went. And I just thought, no, I'm going to do it, because I want to continue on with all of those intentions that I set with my partner before about showing the kids the world, not being the average family. I'm going to continue that legacy without him. And but equally, who can I do it with? And it's obviously not going to be her anymore, the person I thought that was my ride or die, the person that I'd also paid to go to New York the previous year when I was going to get married there. um, it's not going to be her. So I text my brother, who again at the time had no kids, and he was like, yeah, sure, when are we going? What's the crack? And it was so lovely, because again, I didn't have to pay for him, didn't have to convince him. He was like excited to go. Didn't care about the kids because he's their uncle. He loved them anyway. Didn't see them as an inconvenience or a distraction. His girlfriend was on it as well. And we literally went like 4 months later. And it was the most epic, empowering reclaim of power. And it was definitely a turning point in our friendship. We're now not obviously friends. We've outgrown each other. And that holiday was like everything, and I can't believe that I'd forgotten it. And I think it's because I'd never really connected the dots on the significance of that moment. You can only ever see it when you reverse engineer it and you look back and connect the dots. And I had a mentor that told me that recently, and I was like, yes, that is so true. So me being in that hotel 11 years later with my brother and his now family, with my new partner, with our other three kids, feeling like I've made it in working for myself, earning good money, living life on my own terms, being a wealthy woman who doesn't stand or tolerate bad behavior, was truly empowering. So I did a live on this, and I'd love for you to invite you, almost as like a takeaway from today's episode, to do that today. Spend some time with your journal and think about those moments that you can kind of connect the dots on and reverse engineer. Because equally, I feel like I'm in a new evolution, a new shift since the baby, everything that I thought I had planned for the business coming up. I also have had a lot of healing over the last 18 months from my pregnancy. So, again, this reminder from the universe about how powerful you are, about how, you look how far you've come and how much more is still to go. Like, rather than see it, you're at that turning point again where you've got a choice. You can either, return from holiday feeling wounded, traumatized, burnt out, rejected, like all of these things that I've been feeling over the last 18 months. Or you can choose to rise again, like you did in that moment the last time we were here. And honestly, it brings me to tears, because the universe is just so literal when you need that support and guidance and those reminders, when you open yourself up to receive it. So that's what I'm going to be doing, obviously, over my next karmic cycle. And I'm really excited for it, because I do feel like big shifts, big moves, and not necessarily bigger and better things in the sense that bigger and bolder and better moves, although I do think that will happen. That's not ego, that's just facts, because I didn't come this far to just come this far and not have the impact that I want to have. And obviously you need to be more visible to do that. But also it's about going deeper in my mastermind, in my academy, in the offers, in my modalities. I'm learning a new modality at the moment, which is a somatic modality. I'm also like considering other things and just having more play. I'm looking at business premises, because I miss that as well. So if you want to join me for any of those journeys, now is a good time to get in, ladies. I'm also launching the Wealthy Woman Power Circle at the moment, which is a fabulous networking group for women female founders who have big things to do that actually want to build their business based on genuine connections and female leadership. So I'm going to pop all the links for everything in the podcast. Now is a good time to get in. But I just wanted to share those little takeaways with you from my holiday so that you can obviously have the same, use the summer like I did to really have the same reflections and breakthroughs, ready to come back stronger than ever in September. And if you want to join me for September's CEO Circle in-person day, that would be an incredible time to unpick, to anchor in, and to leverage all of those great insights and breakthroughs over the summer. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you next week.